And now it's the return of the original late night boxing talk show with your host, Jay Cotto. It's late night boxing talk, motherfuckers. And strap in, because tonight we've got the fucking truth. Fire!
Hey, don't let me start off with a two-step. That whoop set ain't even got on my shoes yet. Hey, Heisenberg, you know who's selling that blue meth? Who's choke rappers? My only question is who's next? Smoker rapper, this Dutch master true. That X Factor address rapper, I'm 2X. Hell addict, but in this package is too less. These rappers should use less, they useless. Ain't got a taste for that food yet. I start cooking like I was looking to you chef. That's how cooking, but don't push him. Make him cry, I don't shush him. If you a friend, we gon' jump in. You don't
What's going on, brother?
Yeah.
Hybrid, what's going on, brother?
That had me froze, boy, I knew that you was cold. We do it for the paper, we don't do it for the hoes. The late's open for business, you can do it till she close.
I'm Denzel and training day, waiting man's flying birds, and we're spitting that pure meth plugs highs and
When the
birds.
bagels in the trash, I got the Winnebago in the trash. Holla back.
I'm Denzel and training day, waiting man's flying birds, and we're spitting that pure meth plugs highs and
When the
birds.
bagels in the trash, now I got the Winnebago in the trash. Holla back.
Look, it's my turn, let me start. I'm nice with it. Word to my kids, but mess, you could've gave me a chance. You just murdered the shit, to be honest.
What's going on, fight fans? It's the return of your favorite fucking late night boxing talk show. A lot of motherfuckers ain't make it, and a lot of motherfuckers will make it. But tonight, I've got the truth. I'm gonna show you the ultimate testimony of boxing corruption. It was under our noses all this fucking time. Peace to everybody on the check-in. You know what I'm saying? Peace to my man Haplo Type Zero, the original OG right there. My man Hybrid 95, the prospect, no doubt. And my man Mark Parisi Jr. What's going on, Paisan? No doubt. Yo, let's give this about 2 more minutes. I won't play this music for a bit and let the rest of the fight fans, you know what I'm saying, check in. Trust me, it's gonna be worth it, man. I got a lot of testimony and it ain't gonna be coming out of my mouth. Only the truth, of course.
I'm honest with knowledge and measure well. Because you help my pain get correct, yeah, I learned from the best facts. Now I'm just trying to be better at these veterans. These raps are relevant. Cause the bars never land. I punch verses up and tap hooks like I'm in Neverland. Yeah, switch up the flows with my method, man. Next speed, next on the next squeeze, next freeze. Chain on water just like a jet ski. I'm active, never dead beef. I'm free where you live, then creep in your yard, slap you while you're sleeping. That's a wet dream. Wish I could fly to the sticks, get me a fit shorty. But they never let me in cause I'm a bit naughty. Sent the beat to meth the next day, he made a hit from me. It took me 48 hours, just call me Nick Naughty. Meth times 2 equals swag flu. Hot shit delivery, quick, that's a drive through.
Yeah. So, welcome back. Of course, it's been a while. And reason why I brought this shit back is because I was sitting back contemplating, and of course, the Canelo Kovalev, all the shit that's been going around, and the word corruption and the word doubt is exactly what brought me back, bro. And I'm going to show you exactly what was under our noses all this time and what nobody, I mean, everybody was talking corruption and boxing and that, but I'm going to show you, okay? I'm going to show you the basically the the way how fights are fixed, the way things go down, the way some boxers know that they're under contract and some boxers don't know that their money is being actually handled. Now, of course, this testimony comes from a man that a lot of people you know consider a snitch or a rat, but you know what? We're all adults here. So since we're all adults, we all know how to look at the other side, the perspective. Now put yourself in the shoes of a man, a hitman, where you work for the mob, and all of the sudden it's like one man becomes the head and you just become the captain, right? And all of the sudden it's like you killed 19 fucking people and the feds are on you, and now he turns around, of course, because and he tells you, you got to take the fall. You, you know, you're gonna take the fall simply because you've got to look like you're out of control. We couldn't control you, and you did these hits all on your own. And the hitman asked him, "Is this what you want? Are you sure this is what you want to do?" Now, put yourself in his shoes. Now, somebody you trusted, somebody that you earn money with, somebody that you done took somebody out of position to put him in position. Now, all of a sudden, turns around and tells you that you've got to take all of these, knowing that you're never going to come out. So you've got to be the sacrificial lamb, which is what they called him. Now, this man is Sammy the Bull Gravano. This was a testimony in front of federal court. Okay. Now, what's heartbreaking here, gentlemen, ladies, is we're going to hear names. We're going to hear names. Now, I don't need to throw any type of copyright or anything because this is a testimony that was already on video. Peace to Hezekiah News. You know what I'm saying? This was a testimony that's already been out there. It was publicized, but this is purely a testimony on the boxing corruption and how it's done. And we're going to do the play-by-play. Now, I'm going to give you an opening, but the names that we're going to hear are going to be names of the past that are dragging into the present. And it's also showing you that it's setting up foundation. Now, you're going to hear the names of Lou Duva, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, of course, Don King, Buddy McGurk, which was, if I'm not mistaken, who was he training just now? Who's fighting Canelo? Anyway, of course, you're going to hear of WBC corruption. You're going to hear the likes of Joey Curtis, which is a ref that could talk the WBC, for rankings. Meaning, if you was a mob and you had a man who push up in the rankings, you can talk to that guy. And, you're also going to hear the WBC, Jose Solomon. You're going to hear Iran Barkley's name, Emmanuel Stewart, Bob Lee, which is the New Jersey and New York, boxing commissioner. And you're also going to hear how fights are bought. And I'm going to play this part right now. You know what I mean? Let me play this for you. Let me know if you guys can hear this. Okay, managers, advisors, and investors. Who's the number one advisor now going around PBC calling himself an advisor? Well, you're going to see exactly why they decide to call themselves advisors. You got that? And that's just the beginning of it, guys. That's just the beginning of it. All right. Now, let me know if you were able to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Let me know. I've got a lot more. So if you're not if you guys can hear this, let me know. Let me see. Hybrid says I can't hear what they're saying. Really, you can't hear what they're saying. You can't hear what they're saying. Son of a bitch. You guys couldn't hear what they were saying just now. Are you kidding me? Wow. That's gonna be a problem. No audio, Alonzo. All right, man. Well, you know what? I'm gonna just have to transfer that testimony over again. And this time I'm just gonna run it through you know what I'm saying, the speaker. Basically, man, basically, let me see here. Basically, this is just testimony on exactly how guys that call themselves advisors and shit like that are really known as managers and shit, and how they use those names in order to trick people into believing that that's all they're doing when they're really doing what we know they're doing. So let me know if you can hear this.
Time to earn 30 years ago.
Can you hear that? You guys heard that? Let me know.
As a result, organized crime involvement in the boxing industry has changed since the 19.
Can you hear that now? Let me know. Sorry for the technical difficulty. I'm trying to bring y'all a good show. Just let me know. Just type Y if you can, and N if you can't. Hold on for a second. All right, Fight Scout, no doubt. What's up, Fight Scout? What's up, Alonzo? What's going on, fellas? I got you. All right, here we go. All right, here we go, guys.
Thank you, Senator. When the Senate last looked into professional boxing over 30 years ago, it found a nationwide conspiracy between organized crime and members of the boxing industry to control the major boxing contests in the United States. Boxing greats such as Jake LaMotta testified that they were forced to cooperate with underworld figures to have the opportunity to compete for championship titles. The nature of organized crime involvement in the boxing industry has changed since the 1940s and 1950s. Rather than attempting to profit from complete control of boxing, as was the case years ago, organized crime now attempts to profit by controlling individual boxers and managers, or by exercising influence with regard to an individual promoter. Today, members and associates of organized crime also participate in boxing as managers, advisors, and investors.
Once again, if you guys just joined the show, I'm just breaking down this shit bit by bit. This is the first part where why they hide behind the word advisor when they really, manager, and they're taking money and they're making these fights, just like somebody that we know.
As a result, organized crime profits from and affects the sport of boxing. The primary attraction for organized crime is, of course, the large sums of money that can be made. As Senator Roth stated, a boxer can make in one event what it took a boxer a lifetime to earn years ago. In addition, the boxing industry is ideally suited for infiltration by organized crime because it is ineffectively regulated. State boxing regulators make almost no effort to exclude organized crime members and associates from participating in boxing, even where state regulations explicitly prohibit such involvement. Our investigation has uncovered evidence that a number of organized crime figures are heavily involved with several well-known boxers. We do not, however, claim that, or even most, boxers are connected with organized crime. Very little investigation has been done in this area by law enforcement entities. We have, moreover, found no evidence to indicate that organized crime currently exerts the type of influence over the sport of boxing that it did in the 1940s and 1950s. Concentrated our investigation on a case involving the organized crime connections of two former and one current world champions. These boxers deny that they are knowingly controlled or influenced by organized crime. Whether these boxers are unwitting dupes or willing participants with organized crimes is unclear. These 3 case studies illustrate 3 forms of organized crime involvement in boxing. They also represent 3 examples of a regulatory structure has failed to get organized crime out of the boxing.
So basically, when they investigated, they found that there were a couple of guys that were intermingling within the boxing world. Now, I'm going to show you exactly what's going on. This is the testimony of Sammy the Rat, the Bull Gravano. Now, this is very important. This was very historic because his testimony is basically going into what he knows, the in and outs of how to throw fights, how to buy fights, shit that's going on now. This is where it gets thick, and this is where you're gonna fucking hear names. This is crazy. This is fucking nuts. All right, guys, this is fucking nuts. Here we go.
Given the sensitive nature of Mr. Gravano's position as a cooperating witness, we have limited his testimony to matters relating to professional boxing. We appreciate the cooperation of all subcommittee members in abiding by this understanding.
We swear in all the witnesses before this subcommittee, so if you hold up your right hand, I'll give you the oath. You swear the testimony you give before this subcommittee will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you. Appreciate your cooperation. Senator Roth.
All right, here we go.
Members of this
microphone right up and talk directly.
Here we go, guys.
You can get it right in front of you and maybe tilt it up a little bit where you can.
Don't worry, I'm gonna break it down.
And just talk right into the mic.
Okay, thank you very much. How's that? Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the subcommittee. My name is Salvatore Gravano. Early in my life, I was given the nickname Sammy the Bull. I have been in jail since December of 1990, when I was arrested with John Gotti. I was his underboss and second of command of the Gambino family. I have been involved with organized crime since 1968, when I became associated with a guy named Shorty Spiro of the Colombo family. I committed many types of crimes when I was with Shorty, including my first murder. In 1972, I was officially released from the Colombo family to the Gambino family. I became a made member of the Gambino family in 1976. At that time, Paul Castellano was the boss of the Gambino family. In December of 1995, John Gotti, I, along with some others, murdered Paul Castellano. We took over the family. John Gotti became the boss. A couple of weeks later, I became a captain. In 1987, I became acting Gunzlier of our family. I later became the official Gunzlier. In January of 1990, I accepted the position of official underboss, which I held until I began to cooperate with the government in 1991. I decided to cooperate before we, meaning me, John Gotti, and our acting Gunzlier, Frank Locascio, went to trial. I testified in that trial and some others. I will be testifying at more trials in the near future. As part of my deal with the government, I pleaded guilty to a charge that has a 20-year maximum sentence rather than the life sentence that I was facing if convicted at trial. As part of my cooperation, I told the government about my life of crimes, including the fact that I participated in 19 murders. As a member of our family's administration, I helped John Gotti run the family. My primary responsibility was controlling the construction industry in New York. I did this by working with union officials and companies that were owned or controlled by our family, and by dealing with other families who also controlled certain unions and companies. I have been asked to testify here today about the mob's involvement in professional boxing. I don't know much about what other families have been doing in boxing, but I do know about our family. The Gambino family has basically gotten out of boxing sometime around or before 1960. They were involved in other things that made more money. But I have always had an interest in boxing. I boxed a little when I was in the Army, and I picked it up again a few years before I was arrested. I would go to Gleason's gym in Brooklyn every week and work out. Sometimes I would go a few rounds with other people who trained there. I often attended fights in New York and New Jersey, including the Mike Tyson-Larry Holmes fight in 1988 in Atlantic City, which I attended with John Gotti. I got to know a heavyweight named Ronaldo Snipes and his manager, who I knew as Sal. I tried to set up a fight between Snipes and Francisco Damiani, who was the undefeated European heavyweight champ. Damiani was with an organized crime family in Italy. Since our family had close ties with the Italian family, I was able to set up a meeting with Damiani's people. They came.
So basically, he was able to get one of his fighters up in there by meeting some guy named Damiani. He's going to keep going.
To New York, and we discussed the possibility of a fight with Snipes. At that time, Damiani was already scheduled to fight Ray Mercer. One of the things I did to try to arrange a Damiani-Snipes fight was to reach out to set up a meeting with a guy who was in charge of boxing for Donald Trump. I believe his name was Mark Edis. Snipes, his manager Sal, and I met with this Mark in Atlantic City. He told us that a fight between Damiani and Snipes would sell. Mark thought it would be even bigger. Snipes had a high ranking with one of boxing sanctioning bodies. Joe Watts, who was associate in our family, told me that he had someone in Vegas who could help us get a ranking for Snipes. Watts arranged a meeting for me with Joey Curtis, a boxing referee in Las Vegas. Joey Curtis has once visited our club, the Ravenite Social Club in New York City. So I went to Las Vegas with two of my friends and our wives. After we had dinner with Curtis, I took him aside and asked him if he can get Snipes moved up in the rankings. Curtis said that he could move Snipes up in the rankings of the World Boxing Council, which is based in Mexico.
All right. There we have it. There's more. But that's case and brick number fucking 1 of fucking exposing this WBC shit. Who did he just say they was in fucking bed with the mob with? Let's continue.
Curtis said that this would cost $10,000, but because it was a favor for John Gotti, he might be able to get it done for about $5,000. My idea all along was to use Damiani-Snipes fight as a setup fight to get Damiani a big payday against Mike Tyson. My plan was for Snipes to have a high ranking and then make it look good but lose to Damiani. I never discussed this with Snipes because Damiani lost to Mercer, which put Damiani out of the picture for a major fight. I'm sure that we would have had no problem in convincing Snipes to lose. Another boxer our family has an interest in.
You heard what he said? He had no problems knowing that they would have been able to convince Snipes to lose. Should I fucking rewind that again? Yes, I shall.
His buddy to fight. I'm sure that we would have had no problem in convincing Snipes to lose. Another boxer our family has an interest in is Buddy McGirt, who recently lost his
Okay, Buddy McGirt, wasn't he just training Kovalev? Can somebody correct me if I'm wrong or right, or somebody tell me if I'm right or wrong, please? Right? Right?
WBC welterweight title. His manager is out. Another boxer our family has an interest in is Buddy McGirt, who recently lost his WBC welterweight title. His manager is Al Cerdo, who is a Gambino family associate. Al Cerdo is with Jojo Carrazzo, who is a made member of our family. I know Al Cerdo is with our family because Jojo put it on record with his captain, Peter Gotti. Also, a beef came up between our family and the Buffalino family about who McGirt was with. Eddie.
So basically, the Gambino family and the Buffalino family had a problem, trying to figure out what side fucking Buddy McGirt was on. Now, those out there that are saying that this Kovalev-Canelo fight or any other fight that came before that to us fucking real fight fans couldn't be fixed or never be fixed, or fucking boxing will never be fixed, or how can a dude fucking how can a guy take a shot to the chin like that? For $12.5 million fucking dollars, hit me with your best shot, you son of a bitch. Get the fuck out of here. Welcome back to Late Night Boxing Talk, motherfuckers.
Eddie Scandria, the Gunslinger of the Buffalino family, complained to John Gotti that the Buffalinos piece of metal. Gotti told me to arrange a meeting with Scandria and Jojo to resolve the beef. I actually had several meetings with Jojo and Scandria about this. Jojo said that he had paid Scandria some money to walk away from McGirt. But now Scandria wanted back in because McGirt had done well and was getting bigger purses. After hearing both of them, I recommended to John Gotti that Jojo was right and that McGirt should stay with Jojo and our family. Eddie Scandria was not satisfied with my decision and kept coming back for more meetings. I got tired of meeting with Scandria about this, but out of respect for his position and age, we had Frank Lucasio, who was part of our administration, continue to talk to him. But our position never changed. Sturger stayed with our family. I should point that the person who was really with us was Al Serta. His relationship with Jojo Carrazzo is how we had a piece of McGirt. McGirt is a fighter, and although Serta brought him by the club once to introduce him to some people, it wouldn't really be fair for me to say that he was an associate of organized crime. But Serta was with us, and that gave us our interest in McGirt.
There we go. So that's chess piece number one. Now let me take this to Lou Duva. Yeah, that's right. We're going to talk about Lou Duva's involvement, and it's going to link up into more. Here we go.
To people in the Genovese family. I really don't know if he...
Here we go.
Jimmy Roselli has a brother-in-law who's a heavyweight gambler and gambles in Atlantic City. And we used that resource to get to a Donald Trump. We know that Lou Duva was close to people in the Genovese family. I really don't know if he's with these people, but we do know that he has relationships with some of those people, and we would be able to reach him.
Now, let me ask you a question. You may not have business ties with these people, but he knows these people. He has affiliation with these people. You see that? You see what he did there?
Was very, very close with the Pacelli brothers. We believed that one of them might even be a made member of one of the New England families, but they were his trainers, and we would be able to reach them. At one point, we reached out for Don King, who gave us a message back that he had problems with the government, problems with taxes, and he didn't think it was the right time to meet.
See? So Don King reach out. He has problems. You know what I mean? But he basically can't fuck with him at the moment because he was having problems with taxes and the government.
And we reached Raymond Patriarca from the New England family, who would reach the Cleveland family. And they had access to Don King, seemed like control over Don King. And they would explain to him at the next request to meet him for John Gotti and myself that it would be in his best interest that he would meet with us. And we knew that Nicky Scaffo had some interest in some fighters and other families around the country. There's a guy named Andrew Russo, who was a captain in the Colombo family.
Peace to everybody on the check-in, man. You know what I'm saying? We're going through Boxing Corruption, Testimony Alone by Sammy the Bull Gravano, talking about the corruption and how he worked with the WBC and others. You know what I'm saying? This right here shows you that fights can be bought, can be fixed. There's a lot more. If you're a real boxing head and you really want to be informative and you're like talking that shit and y'all debating and shit, well, you know what? Fuck that. Take it from me. This is the truth right here. This is, like I said, it wasn't going to be coming from my lips. Only the truth. But this is coming from something that was already under our noses, but nobody fucking did their homework. And your boy right here did. And I'm giving you a fucking lesson, like I had to give myself a fucking lesson that, yo, something has to prove to me. Somebody has to prove to me. Somebody has to give testimony. And I was digging and digging, and this is what I found. And this whole testimony is all our boxing, who he's fucked with. He's dropping names. And I'm giving y'all this fucking food for thought, fucking homework. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even asking for no fucking super chats, no fucking thumbs up. Just your time and attention, bro. Just your time and attention. This is the fucking truth. This is your show, the Late Night Boxing Talk Show. Here we go.
Who has some sort of tie to Vito Antuofermo. So knowing his base knowledge, we felt that if we went back in, some of these places is areas that we could have got into. When I met with Joey Curtis in Las Vegas, he told me that he knew Steve Wynn personally, and asked me if the Ronaldo Snipes Damiani fight would come off. Maybe we could even talk with Steve Wynn. So I did realize that we were able to reach different.
And before I go any further, peace to Jeanette. No doubt. What's going on, brother? Well, good questions. They're both the same. By Mark and Jeanette. Now check this out. The testimony, yes, was in '94, but like I said, this corruption is streaming on to the present, and there are players that, like Buddy McGirt, who was what, like I said, and if I'm wrong, correct me. If I'm right, you know what I'm saying? Then let me know. But I wasn't involved with Kovalev. Like I said, man, it trickles down. I'm just saying, and this is also for those people that also say that boxing cannot be fixed. And that how can a motherfucker take a shot like that or take shots like that? Like I said, for $12.5 million, wouldn't you? Peace to Ross Clock 222, aka Excalibur. What's going on, General? What's going on, General? No doubt, man. All right, here we go.
Different areas and different people.
Now, you use the term with reach made. Can you explain exactly what you mean by that when you say you testify about being with a particular organized crime family? What does that mean generally and specifically? Let me ask you that first.
Well, when you're with an organized crime family or a made member in a family, the made member goes to his captain, puts you on record that you're with him and our family. His benefits, whatever connections, like I had just mentioned, we have, he can have. If any other family within the country, or out of the country for that matter, would ever try and move in on him, muscle in on him, it couldn't happen. He was already on record as being with us. And he would be under our protection, our umbrella, so to speak.
But he wouldn't be made.
No. A made member is another stage when a man, after a period of years, is with somebody and is brought into a meeting and is given the oath.
Once again, this is a testimony only coming from Sammy the Bull Gravano in '94 on boxing corruption and how they was able to throw fights and buy fighters and how it worked. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just breaking it down.
And becomes a made member.
He's a full member, in other words.
He's a blood member.
A blood member.
Yes.
And what do you mean by the word reach?
Well, reach. If we don't know Donald Trump himself, we have ways to reach him, and it's just a term I'm using. In other words, we would use Jimmy Roselli or Jimmy Roselli's brother-in-law, or Bobby Sasso, who controls 282 Union.
And of course, I got to give the plug. It wouldn't be Late Night Boxing Talk if I didn't give the plug. Late Night Boxing Talk has been brought to you by Brisk Iced Tea. You thirsty? Put some fucking clothes on and get to the corner store and get your ass some. They're only $1.08. That's right, Brisk Iced Tea. Check, please. Back to the testimony.
In New York, and Donald Trump obviously does a lot of construction. And if Bobby Sasso, the president of 282, the Teamsters, who was with our family, would reach Donald Trump and tell him that we were interested in a meeting with him. When I say we, I don't mean me or John Gotti. I don't know if Trump would meet us, but it would.
Now, let's go into the WBC. All right, let's start eating the steak now. We touched the salad now. Now let's eat the steak. This is where you guys will say, "I knew it," but then it'll be like, "Wait a minute, there's fucking more." That's right. Here we go. This is called homework, gentlemen. This is called fucking homework. All right, here we go.
And this is what I told John.
What do you expect? It's
You
alive.
stated in your opening testimony that you were released by the Colombo family to the Gambino family. What did you mean by that?
Well, in that time, I wasn't a made member. I was on record. I was on record. I was an associate of the Colombo family. I wasn't a made member, and I was put on record with their family. Once you're on record, you belong to that family, and it takes an official release from that family to for you to leave.
Thank you. My time is up.
Senator Cohen or Senator McCain?
Here we go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr.
By
Gravano,
Senator
for your
McCain.
testimony. It's very interesting. In part of your testimony, you talked about a referee named Joey Curtis that could move Sipes up in the World Boxing Council rankings.
Yes, sir.
And that's the outfit that's headed by Mr. Jose Solomon, I believe.
I really don't know who heads that organization.
You are a fight fan, though.
Yes, I am.
And have you noticed in the past on other occasions that someone has moved up in the WBC rankings in time for a fight, and then that person disappears or drops way down again? You seen that happen before?
Well, it's common knowledge. I'm not surprised by it. I don't really follow that part of it, but it's basically common knowledge that it can be done. I wasn't sure at that point which sanctioning body did it because I really wasn't involved. Joey Curtis made me aware of this sanctioning body. I don't really know if any other sanctioning body does it or not.
But it was common knowledge that it could be done.
Yeah, it's not something that's a major secret.
If you mentioned two names, Vito Antifermo and Marvin Hagler, as both having mob ties, or have their people having some connection. Is that correct?
Yes.
And they both fought a couple of fights.
Whoa. Walk it off. Hold up. Oh, shit. Did you hear that? Wait. Yo, wait a minute. I know I ain't bugging out.
Both having mob ties.
I know I ain't bugging out. Here we go.
Of this sanctioning body. I don't really know if any other sanctioning body
Did he
does
say
it.
Marvelous
But it was
Marvin
common
Hagler and Vito
knowledge that it could be
from
done.
Yeah, it's not something that's a
have
major
mob
secret.
tie?
If you mentioned two names, Vito Antifermo and Marvin Hagler, as both having mob ties, or have their people having some connection. Is that correct?
Yes.
And they both fought a couple of fights, so that might have been interesting. Could I ask you a couple of other names? Emmanuel Stewart, any connection there?
I know the name, but I don't know of any connection with him.
Mr. Duva?
Mr. Luduva, I understood to be with, or close with anyway, people in the Genovese family. if we were going to go back into boxing, we would be able to reach people in the Genovese family. We would probably reach their boss, who was Chin, and find out what could be done. We never got to that point.
And Mr. Don King, you mentioned earlier, had been approached, but
We gotta bring it back.
I wasn't sure at that point which sanctioning body did it because I really wasn't involved. Joey Curtis made me aware of this sanctioning body. I don't really know if any other sanctioning body does it or not.
but it was common knowledge that it could be done.
Yeah, it's not something that's a major secret.
If you mentioned two names.
For Rasclot. All right. This is Sammy the Bull giving testimony on boxing corruption and how he worked with the WBC, and he's dropping other names in boxing that have ties with and how they bought fights, and you know what I'm saying? And all these names we're hearing, this is what's going on. All right, here we go.
Vito Antifermo and Marvin Hagler is both having mob ties, or have their people having some connection. Is that correct?
Yes.
And they both fought a couple of fights, so that might have been interesting. Could I ask you a couple of other names? Emmanuel Stewart. Any connection there?
I know the name, but I don't know of any connection with him.
Mr. Duva.
Mr. Lou Duva, I understood to be with, or close with anyway, people in the Genovese family. If we were going to go back into boxing, we would be able to reach people in the Genovese family. We would probably reach their boss, who was Chin, and find out what could be done. We never got to that point.
And Mr. Don King, you mentioned earlier, had been approached, but had been negative in response. You have no other information about his connections.
I know earlier on, a lot of years ago, this is before John Gotti and myself took over the family, that Don King had reached out for Paul Castellano, and Paul Castellano didn't want to meet with him for whatever reason. So I knew he was around. I knew he had some ties. And when we were considering Snipes and Damiani, we were considering a possible conversation with him for promotional reasons, for obvious reasons. I mean, he literally just about controls a good part of boxing.
Which brings me, but the connection with either Mr. Wynn or Mr. Trump would know no direct connection, except that they did have to do business with these individuals that control the majority of the best fighters. Is that
right? They've done nothing wrong as far as I know, and they're not with anybody as far as I know. They're just in that business, and they would have to deal with people. We would have to reach the people that they would have to deal with in order to talk with them.
Good. I think it's important to make it clear, Mr. Chairman, about some of these individuals. We don't want to tar people with a brush here. You said in your statement that in the case of the Ronaldo Snipes Damiani fight, you said, "I'm sure that we would have had no problem in convincing Snipes to lose." Why do you make that statement, Mr. Gravano?
I myself was very close with Snipes. Snipes was broke at that particular point. If we were able to set up a big payday fight, I would have told him that there was X amount of dollars in a purse. I probably would have approached him with some cash under the table. And he was shunned by Don King. He was on the outskirts. He couldn't get any more fights. He was just about over the hill at 30 some odd years old. And I believe I had enough of a relationship with him to convince him in that respect. And if he would have agreed, I'm sure he would have lived up to it.
At the end of your statement, you say now because the size of the purses has gotten so big over the past 20 years, organized crime is more and more interested in getting back into it. Do you have any specifics of that interest?
Well, for a long time, it wasn't even talked about. And through the years, it was becoming more and more talked about. Again, with Lou Duva and names like that within the industry, it popped up. I wasn't really in the boxing industry. It was more of a hobby to me, and I heard it on the outskirts. My expertise in the Gambino family was in construction, and I dealt with that. But as the purses got bigger and bigger, not only did John Gotti and myself start to look at it, but I'm sure in conversations that I've had with people, more and more people were looking at it.
At these big fights, you'd have the opportunity to see many friends and adversaries.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr.
McCain, so the coin.
So right there, he just dropped a whole ton of shit. If you want to know the names, they're big names. I mean, yo, this shit is getting deep. You can rewind it if you like. You can stay on live if you want. It's going to get even more deeper. You know what I mean? Like I said, this is a very special welcome back late night boxing talk. Welcome to the newcomers and welcome to the old heads that have always been here with the other program. I'm telling you right now, this shit is crazy. This is for those that have just joined now. What you're listening to is testimony of Sammy the Bull Gravano. You know, when he was giving testimony, and he's giving testimony on how boxing, he was able to fuck with the WBC and other names, big names, like I said before, and on how fights were bought, fixed, you know what I mean? And there are certain players that were fucking with a fight that just passed now that people are saying is conspiracy theory, but you know, those that know, and how a certain promotion is going on now, you know, is going on. Also in the beginning of the broadcast, I also dropped on how certain guys out there that are going under the name advisor really means manager, like we've known, and how they take money on the table. It's just basically just solidifying everything that I have been saying and everything that you have been saying, and you know, and you have been arguing. Why? Because it comes from someone who actually was in there hands-on with a testimony. Now you guys are probably saying, those that are fucking airheads that got a fucking peanut and a fucking empty beer can for a brain are probably like, but Jay, I'm saying though, how does this make sense? Because like I said, the names that you were hearing from back then are all the way into now with the dirty shit with the present. And you can see it's so fucking clear. It's just the way things are going now. People are, you know what I mean? This is fucking crazy. And this is showing you that also that those that are in denial that boxing can't be bought and a guy couldn't take shots like that to the face. Like I said, purses are high, 12.5 million. Shit, hit me with a 1-2. Like I said, hit me with your best shot. Pat Benatar type shit. Hit your head, bro. You know what I'm saying? Shit. Wouldn't you? Of course you would. Come on, don't fucking lie. Don't fucking lie. You would have to have no fucking type of logic to actually say, I want to let it punch me in the face for $12.5 fucking million, kid. Especially after that, where you get offered 2 more fucking, just get the fuck out of here. Look, I'm not buying it. Those can say, Jay, you're bugging out, start smoking crack, blah, 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 whatever the fuck you want to say. It doesn't fucking matter. What matters here is the truth, and the truth is it's testimony coming from somebody who was fighting for their fucking life and had to give testimony because he made a fucking deal. And they asked him on the business parts, and boxing was one of them. And this is leading to the names. This shit is crazy, bro. Let's get back into it. Shall we? Yes, we shall.
Follow-up questions with respect to Mr. Snipes. You indicated that you were sure that had Snipes given his word, he would have lived up to it.
Yes.
Right. And what deterrent do you have if they don't live up to it? Let's suppose he got in the ring, he felt pretty good, and suddenly victory is a couple of punches away. Does he take a look out into the ring and decide that he sees you there, or maybe John Gotti or somebody else, and even though he smells victory and the other fighter may have unintentionally walked into a roundhouse punch, what deterrent exists, either expressly or implicitly, to make sure that someone lives up to an agreement?
I believe our whole background, John Gotti's and mine, our reputation. Yes.
Right. And what deterrent do you have if they don't live up to it? Let's suppose he got in the ring, he felt pretty good, and suddenly victory is a couple of punches away. Does Does he take a look out into the ring and decide that he sees you there, or maybe John Gotti or somebody else, and even though he smells victory and the other fighter may have unintentionally walked into a roundhouse punch, what deterrent exists, either expressly or implicitly, to make sure that someone lives up to an agreement?
I believe our whole background, John Gotti's and mine, our reputation of what we did and what happened. I believe if he would have knocked him out by accident, he would have picked him up.
You heard what he said? He said it's so serious that if the dude would have rebelled against them saying, listen, you're gonna lay down, and let's just say he said fuck that, and he would have knocked the dude out. He said that the consequences would have been so great that he would have if he would have knocked him out by accident, he would have picked him back up. The shit is crazy, and he had the whole fucking court laughing because it's fucking unbelievable.
I tried not to make it appear that was a rhetorical question. What deterrent exists, either expressly or implicitly, to make sure that someone lives up to an agreement?
I believe our whole background, John Gotti's and mine, our reputation of what we did and what happened. I believe if he would have knocked him out by accident, he would have picked him up.
I tried not to make it appear that was a rhetorical question. Is it clear in the boxing industry as such, or the profession, that if a boxer, let me put it this way, have you ever heard of a boxer being threatened with injury because he was unwilling to give organized crime a cut of his winnings?
I have never heard that personally, and I know that's talked about not only in boxing but a lot of industries, and I don't find that really happens all that much. I believe it's a two-sided greed. Organized crime, from what I've seen, has a history of sharing. A lot of contractors, which relate slightly to the construction industry, came to us for union favors and basically for greed because they made more money by coming to us. It wasn't something that we had to force them over. And along with this, I happen to like Ronaldo Snipes and had a high respect for him as a fighter. And in a strange way, I think I would have been fair as far as giving him his last hurrah and some money. And it also would have met my purpose with Damiani to look so good and beat somebody as classy as a fighter as I believe Snipes was.
You mentioned that McGirt may very well not know that he's associated with organized crime, even indirectly. Is that right?
Yes.
You say it's very possible. Is it well known that Mr. Soto is associated with organized crime?
Yes.
So you can have a fighter who has someone who is a advisor, manager, promoter, who's known to associate with organized crime, and you basically are being handled by that person, and yet you would not know that any of your earnings are going through the money chain or the money tree as such to the roots of organized crime?
Sure. Yes.
Tell me how that works. Apparently, you indicated McGirt went to the trial of John Gotti.
Yes.
Now, when someone goes to a trial of someone who's known to be a top person in a organized crime family, does that imply knowledge that one is his earnings are in any way going in that direction? I mean, in other words, you got a manager.
No, but it's a tactic of ours, Senator.
Pardon?
I'm sorry, did I interrupt?
No, that's all right.
It's a tactic of ours. I believe there was a made member of Johnny DiGilio, who was in the Genovese family, who was on trial, in a federal trial, I believe, in New Jersey, where Muhammad Ali and a few people came to the trial. And what I believe it does is that if you have black jurors and you see Sugar Ray Leonard or a Muhammad Ali or a Joe Frazier, you have a warm spot for these people, which is basically.
Right. No, I understand the tactic. What I was wondering about the fighter himself. Al Certo or somebody says, we'd like to have you go to the trial of John Gotti.
Well, I'm sure Al Certo knows the motive. I don't really know if Buddy McGurk understands or knows the motive.
All right.
See, I say that because I'm not in those conversations. I don't know what Al Certo tells him. He could be conning him and saying, you know, he thinks the world he has a fighter. Why don't you come down and see him? I don't know exactly.
That's fair enough. No, that's fair enough. I'm just trying to find out how the money flows. Perhaps you could at least trace for us.
The money would flow.
What happens when a fighter earns the purse and then the manager promoter gets a piece of that? How does the money go through the family? How does it trace the money for us, if you would?
Well, it would go through the trainer or trainer manager. He has a percentage of the fighter.
Once again, welcome, my people's Big Ten players in the house. No doubt, man. Welcome, brother. Welcome. No doubt, everybody, man. Once again, this is testimony from Sammy the Bull Gravano. Testimony on how he fucked with the WBC. And if you want to catch that, you can rewind it. You know what I'm saying? Go to the replay, or you can stay with me because it gets, like I said, it's getting deeper and deeper. And then I tell you, the return of Late Night Boxing Talk. I'm bringing it to you with the fucking truth. Like always, man. Peace to everybody. You know what I'm saying? Now check this shit out. Let's finish up. He's talking about how the money's flushing through from a fighter.
He would get a percentage of that. One of the ways, which there's a few ways, would be that when he gets his check and he cashes it, he sends his piece up, whatever his deal may be, 20, 30, 40, 50%, whether he's partners with John Gotti, whatever his specific deal is, he'll send his end of the cash up after taxes, because he obviously can't duck that. But there's other ways where we could cheat or duck, if I could use those terms. We would set up a gym. If we were talking about real big money, then we could talk about padding, training expenses. We could put people to work. We can go into promotional. We can go into a lot of areas to absorb part of that big purse, especially when you're talking about purses that go into the tens of millions of dollars. We would really be able to, I don't know the words, but we would really be able to lunge into that.
What happens when a fighter finds out that in some way his earnings are going into organized crime and he wants to break away from that family? Does the family seek to prevent that from taking place?
Well, traditionally, we've been giving people a hard time with that situation, Senator. We're not too fond of them walking away from us.
I'm sorry?
We're not too fond of them walking away, and we would traditionally give them a hard time. I don't know how far. That would be up to each person in each particular crime family what they would do.
So once organized crime has an interest in a fighter, even though that fighter may not know that he is owned or at least influenced by organized crime, he can't walk away?
Well, I wouldn't say that. If his manager was with us, he couldn't walk away. If the fighter really knew nothing,
right.
I don't really know how we can go and go after him, except for that he would lose his power base and connections, and we would try and cut him off that way. If he himself shook our hand and made a deal with us, it would be a lot harder for him to walk away.
So you might try, if he didn't know he were in any way associated, you might try to perhaps reduce his ratings or rankings?
We would use whatever tactics we can use short of violence, because he really don't know what he's involved with. If he knew what he was involved with, we would use just about any tactic, including violence.
Now, last year, the subcommittee had some testimony alleging that Bob Lee, who was then the New Jersey Deputy Boxing Commissioner, had taken a bribe in order to expedite an application for a boxing promoter's license. Are you aware of any other instance in which there's corruption among the boxing commissions in New Jersey, New York, or anywhere in this country? You talked about the WBC and operating out of Mexico and trying to influence the rankings there. What about here in the United States?
No, I don't know any situations like that.
And one final question. If you were still a member of the Gambino family, could you tell me or us what action by the federal state agencies it would take to convince you that it was time to move away from participating in boxing matches? In other words, is there anything that the federal government could do to discourage organized crime from its association with boxing?
Make the purse is very small.
No, make the purses small, and so no amount of.
All right, so the government just finished asking him, is there anything that would make, is there anything we can do that would make basically organized crime, the mafia, move away from the involvement of the sport of boxing? And he came out and said, he replied and said, and it's the truth. It sounds like a smart aleck thing, but when you sit back and think about it, it's the truth. Make the purses smaller. And if you don't get it, I'm gonna let him finish it off. This shit is fucking hilarious. This is just fucking comic logic.
Of federal regulation per se is going to deter the influence as long as the money is there?
I don't believe so, Senator, no.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Cohen. Senator Roth, do you have any other questions?
Yes, I do have a few.
Basically, if you didn't understand, he's saying if you make the money smaller, then it makes the interest from the mob, not, you know what I'm saying? They won't want to be involved in it because there's no money in it. You know what I'm saying? But since the purses are big, they're gonna continue to because there's money in it. Simple. It's fucking logic. It's like, you know what I mean? It's crazy, man. Fucking shit.
Well, carrying on with the question, Mr. Cohen, have the state commissions been effective in regulating boxing insofar as the mob is concerned?
I don't even think we know that they exist, to be honest with you. They're not that effective because they don't bother us and they don't hinder us in any of our movements, and I've never heard them involved in any of the conversations that we would have to do this, or this to go around them. So I really don't, I don't even know what they do, basically.
If the federal government, by one means or another, became involved in regulation, would that make a difference? Would the mob be more circumspect, more concerned about being involved in boxing?
No.
Make no difference at all?
No.
Do you, you testified that Joey Curtis told you he could move up your boxer's ranking in the WBC for $5,000 to $10,000. Joey Curtis has.
Late Night Boxing Talk has been brought to you by Brisk Iced Tea. That's right. Get it at your local fucking store. You're thirsty? Get dressed, put some fucking pants on, and go and get some. They're only $1.08. That's right, Brisk Iced Tea. Let's get it.
Categorically denied to staff that anyone like that anything like that ever happened. Are you certain of your testimony?
Senator, I can only say what I know. I can't really comment on what they say and what they don't say. I can only comment that what I say is the truth. And I only say exactly what I know.
And that was that Joey Curtis told you he could move up your boxer's ranking in the WBC for $5,000 to $10,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you recall Joey Curtis visiting the Ravenite Social Club?
Yes, I do.
Now, Mr. Curtis admits visiting the social club, but says it's open to any member of the public. Is that correct?
No, it's a private club. It's the Gambino headquarters. And if you want me to explain it slightly, there's a brick wall with almost no windows, a steel door, with at any given time 10, 15 guys standing outside smoking some cigars and stuff. And I don't really think that that's a sign that we're open to the public.
An attorney for Reynaldo Snipes, his former manager, Sal Pasquale, advised that they would invoke the Fifth Amendment if called to testify here today. They did admit in a staff interview that they attended a meeting with you at Atlantic City in which a future boxing match was discussed. But they claimed the meeting was set up in the spur of the moment and not planned in advance. Is this true?
Well, I don't believe, Senator, that you can walk into Donald Trump's boxing staff unannounced and have a meeting that you were going to fight for a championship fight. It would have to be something that was set up. I didn't know Mark Edis from a hole in the wall prior to that, and I don't see how that could be done. And I'm sure that Mark Edis, who really did, and I don't believe did anything wrong, knows of the meeting and knows it was set up. I mean, I just didn't walk in off the street.
Now, are other Gambino family members involved in boxing gyms?
Excuse me, Senator?
Are other members of the Gambino family involved in boxing gyms? What about John Gotti Jr.?
Well, there's a gym that we're involved with that Tommy Gallagher has. He was a longtime friend of John Gotti. I believe now he has a gym in Queens and is very, very close with John Jr. And I believe his gym is right next to right around the Bergen Hunt and Fish Club in Queens. I believe he looked for some funding and some backing and found it.
My last question is, some people might ask, what difference does it make if organized crime owns a piece of a boxer? But isn't it true that organized crime, even when involved in a legitimate business, tries to cheat, take advantage, to cut corners? Does it make a difference if the mob owns a piece of the boxer?
Well, again, we do.
Peace to my man Karan Bray, who just stepped in. No doubt, my brother. Peace to you, man. No doubt. Peace to my man 10 Players as well. Peace to y'all, man. Peace to Mark. Peace to Mario Salazar. Peace to everybody, man. The Fight Scout, no doubt. Dragon Leg, what's going on, brother? What's going on? Now, like I said, this is true testimony as to what's going on. The reason why it has to do with a lot with what's going on today is simply because, like I said, it's you guys will have to catch the replay. You will never catch a live like this. Nobody will ever tell you the truth unless they real like 10 Players and Karan Bread and a whole lot of great fucking knowledgeable uploaders. You guys got to understand, man. This needs to be put out there. It's not like I'm not snitching. Nobody's snitching. This was already said by someone. You know what I mean? It's federal testimony, and that shit just came out of nowhere. Like it was under our noses, and nobody actually pulled this shit out. Peace to Hezekiah News, which is not a boxing channel. It's just one of those regular channels. I just said to myself, something has to give. There has to be proof where it can show me and I can show others that fights can be fixed. And once I saw this, nobody can argue with me or with the truth that's being heard right now. And I'm gonna drop the link later on here so you guys can see it, the whole thing. You know, for those that say that boxing can't be fixed, fighters can't be bought, people can't get punched in the face for a high price, $12.5 million and 3 more fucking fights in the zone. And you know where I'm getting at. Basically, what I'm saying here is that boxing is fucking corrupt. It still exists. There are names that have been dropped where it's trickled down into what's going on today, as well as codes being used in order to fool and cheat the system as to people, calling themselves advisors, which really is a fucking veil for manager, and they break their pies fine. So this is why they get more than 10% or 20%. This was all said here. You know what I'm saying? And you guys are never gonna get a testimony like this. I hope you're enjoying it, man. If you guys are enjoying it, if you want to give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs up. If you want to drop a comment, drop a comment. You know what I'm saying? It's all good, brother. You know what I mean? My man Mario says they call me a hater because I could see this Canelo Kovalev fraud from a mile away, my brother. Well, you know how it is. You know how it is, Mario. On this channel, we are like not the black sheep, but we are like the ones we're mutants, bro. We're the mutants. We have special gifts, special power. We see through shit here. You know what I mean? And when we go out there, people doubt us. And then what happens when the truth is said and done, whether it's brought by uploaders like myself or it's just done in its own action, they don't know what the fuck to do. They don't know. They can't even fucking be men or women or it's to fucking actually say these days, okay, I was wrong about that situation. Fucking pride is a bitch. You know what I'm saying? But this is the return of late night boxing talk. This shit, I had to bring the program back for you guys. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be continuing. You know what I mean? It ain't going nowhere for a bit. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to try to keep it strong. You know what I mean? John Lewan, what's going on? I love to speak on this subject. No doubt. Speak, brother, speak. You know what I mean? Speak and welcome, my brother. Welcome to your boxing talk show, late night boxing talk, man. Yo, spread this shit out. Let people know. I'm not asking you for super chats. I'm not asking you for no thumbs up or no. Just come on down, son. Learn the boxing truth. You know what I'm saying? I've always been about that. I'm not selling myself. It's just I like to talk on this shit. I like to debate on this shit. And I like to bring out the facts in because I love the sport of boxing. I don't like what they're doing. I hate serial face fucking fighters. You know what I mean? Every time I fucking say something, I lost motherfucking friends over fucking predictions with Pacquiao and Thurman. You know where the fuck I'm getting at. If you follow me, it's fucking ridiculous. You know what I mean? And motherfuckers think that because I say, look, I debated you once, I'm not going to debate you again because if I do, when it comes to fruition, who's going to fucking look naked out here? Not me, right? And then motherfuckers are going to get on you. And so in order to avoid that, because I can see, I know what the fuck is coming, bro. You know what I mean? I'm not tooting my own horn here, but it's just there's a fucking reason. You know what I mean? This is late night boxing talk show, bro. We are going the fucking. Let's continue with this corruption and fuck the WBC, bro.
We do have that habit of cheating a little bit, and if we have this, we use it as contacts in not only boxing, but a lot of other areas that we look at. We look past just strictly to boxing. When we meet, whether it be officials of state or a person like Trump, the conversations might start to drift from boxing into construction or whatever we felt we could do. If somebody went to John and said that he wanted to buy a condo in Trump Tower, and we were talking to him about boxing, I'm sure that a week later or a month later, the conversation would start to change into buying that condo or doing the sheetrock in one of the buildings that he's doing, or the plumbing or the electrical, and this is what we've done in the past in a lot of industries fairly well. We walked away from the boxing, but again, as it started to build money wise and power base wise, we would get back into it for a host of different reasons.
Because of the big bucks now involved in boxing, should we expect more involvement on the part of organized crime in boxing?
I believe so.
They'll go where the money is.
Excuse me?
They'll go where the money is.
Yes.
That's all the questions I have, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Urbano, one final question. I believe in your statement, or in answer to one of the early questions, you mentioned that there was someone in Cleveland who had access to Don King. Could you tell us who that was and what kind of access?
I don't know who the specific person was. When I said that, I was referring to the Cleveland family. The Cleveland family has certain ties to Don King, and Raymond Patriarca, who is the boss in Providence, told us that he knew of this and he can reach the Cleveland people to tell them to have Don King meet us.
Okay. Any other questions, Senator Ross, Senator Cohen, Senator McCain? Okay.
And it's so powerful that it was under the government, and Senator McCain was asking this motherfucker questions about corruption in boxing. And this was under and I'm not, everybody, you know, I rock with you. I'm not talking to y'all and everybody that's watching here. You know, I got respect. I'm talking about the ones that are on their job. You know what I'm saying? The ones that think about it's all about being in front of a motherfucker and sucking his fucking mammary gland and looking deep into his eyes, even though you do what you do, no doubt. But since you like talking all that shit and y'all be full of shit, motherfuckers like me that are behind a studio or behind a fucking and have been doing this shit sitting right here and just using what my creator has given me. And I'm just doing fucking your job, your journalism. Motherfuckers like 10 players and they come out here and they whoop your ass too. Lots of uploaders. There's some that are big that do not like us. What I'm saying here is those that are out there talking, respect us and understand that we do this shit for real, for real. This is for real, for real. Go look at Boxing Eagle. Go look at motherfuckers and see if they do anything that what the fuck we do. And I'm not putting anybody with anybody else to beef with. Didn't say that for that. I'm just saying for comparisons as to material. I'm not wasting your time. And neither are they. Motherfuckers like us, we on here for a reason. You don't pay us, but we giving you lots for your attention. For a reason. Because we know that you care for the sport of boxing like we do. You feel what I'm saying? I've been on here for like 8 fucking years with this shit saying the same thing. Repeating myself a lot. Well, motherfuckers are probably like, oh God, he's on this shit again. But at the end of the day, it's the truth.
Okay. I think that's all, Mr. Bono. We appreciate your cooperation with the subcommittee. You've been very helpful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll have security take Mr. Bono out and we'll ask everyone.
Now, I'm going to take you to the final statement made by a senator where he talks about the workings and how you fix fights and everything. So just this is the ending of it, not the ending of the show, just the ending of this whole thing where we could get into it and talk. I'm going to read what Mario Salazar just said. Give me a second here. Remember, this is live. This is why we're real, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing your fucking job. We be doing your fucking job. Simple shit. Simple shit. You feel what I'm saying? Just work with me. Work with me. I got you. Here we go. All right, here we go.
Chairman. Mr. Bono.
Providence told us that he knew of this and he can reach the Cleveland people to tell them to have Duncan meet us.
Okay. Any other questions, Senator Rawls, Senator Cohen, Senator McCain?
All right, here we go.
Boxing contrast in the United States.
All right. Sorry, guys, I had to find it. Here we go.
Please proceed.
This is gonna get fucking good, son. Peace to all you hardworking motherfuckers out there that are putting out the truth. You guys are the fucking truth.
Thank you, Senator.
The flannels for you guys, the hard workers.
When the Senate last looked into professional boxing over 30 years ago, it found a nationwide conspiracy between organized crime and members of the boxing industry to control the major boxing contests in the United States. Boxing greats such as Jake LaMotta testified that they were forced to cooperate with underworld figures to have the opportunity to compete for championship titles. The nature of organized crime involvement in the boxing industry has changed since the 1940s and 1950s. Rather than attempting to profit from complete control of boxing, as was the case 30 years ago, organized crime now attempts to profit by controlling individual boxers and managers, or by exercising influence with regard to an individual promoter. Today, members and associates of organized crime also participate in boxing as managers, advisors, and investors. As a result, organized crime profits from and affects the sport of boxing. The primary attraction for organized crime is, of course, the large sums of money that can be made. As Senator Roth stated, a boxer can make in one event what it took a boxer a lifetime to earn 30 years ago. In addition, the boxing industry is ideally suited for infiltration by organized crime because it is ineffectively regulated. State boxing regulators make almost no effort to exclude organized crime members and associates from participating in boxing, even where state regulations explicitly prohibit such involvement. Our investigation has uncovered evidence that a number of organized crime figures are heavily involved with several well-known boxers. We do not, however, make the claim that all, or even most, boxers are connected with organized crime. Very little investigation has been done in this area by law enforcement entities. We have, moreover, found no evidence.
Basically, there are, not all, but some are.
Indicate that organized crime currently exerts the type of influence over the sport of boxing that it did in the 1940s and 1950s. We concentrated our investigation on 3 case studies involving the organized crime connections of 2 former and 1 current world champion. Each of these boxers has denied that they are knowingly controlled or influenced by organized crime. Whether these boxers are unwitting dupes or willing participants with organized crime figures is unclear. These 3 case studies illustrate 3 forms of organized crime involvement in boxing, and also represent 3 examples of how the current regulatory structure has failed to keep organized crime out of the boxing industry. On the far right of the chart, we have the name of former IBF super middleweight champion Iran Barkley. Barkley has held WBC middleweight title and has had a number of high-profile, big-money fights. Barkley testified at a subcommittee deposition that he currently does not have a manager of record, but that he does have several unlicensed advisors. One of these advisors is Lenny Minuto. Minuto is classified by several law enforcement agencies as an associate of the Lucchese crime family. There's additional information that he's had past and possibly current affiliations with the Gambino and Genovese families. Minuto is believed to be active in the Gampa crew of the Lucchese family at this time. Minuto also has a criminal record, including 7 gambling convictions and 1 conviction for bribing a public official. And I'd like to note, Senator, before going any further, that in listing any person on this chart as having organized crime connections, we have followed the past PSI standard of requiring corroborating information from at least 2 separate law enforcement agencies. And in the case of Mr. Minuto, we also have an affidavit submitted by Mr. Alphonse Diarco, the former underboss of the Lucchese family, indicating Mr. Minuto's Lucchese connections. And at this time, I'd like to offer for introduction a copy of the Diarco affidavit.
They're showing proof that everything he's saying and everybody that's connected with this shit, it's all written there.
Barkley testified at deposition that Lenny Minuto assists him with contract negotiations and with personal investments. According to Barkley, Minuto receives 10% of Barkley's earnings, which would equal roughly $100,000 for Barkley's most recent fight against James Toney. We also have other evidence, however, indicating that Minuto received as much as $225,000 from the Toney fight alone. The Barkley and Minuto relationship is illustrative of how organized crime figures are involved in the boxing industry as unpaid.
So let me get this straight. The guy that's going to their training for 2.5 to 3 months, gotta make sure he make weight, busting his ass, gets his ass fucking beat, busting his ass in the ring. He's doing the hard work. He only get $100,000. and the guy that's connected with the mob gets $255,000 more than the fighter. That's what's going on today. Yes, and it's happening to your PBC fighters too, motherfuckers. Late night boxing talk.
Paid unlicensed advisors. The practice of calling oneself an advisor appears to be an attempt to avoid state licensure requirements, despite the fact that so-called advisors often fit statutory definitions of managers. Most states have very broad definitions of a boxing manager. For example, in New Jersey, a manager is defined as anyone who directly or indirectly directs or administers the affairs of a boxer, or anyone who is entitled to 10% or more of a boxer's earnings. One obvious reason that Lenny Minuto and others like him might wish to avoid licensure is the fear of being denied a license and thereby excluded from participating in boxing because of their criminal records of organized crime associations. The fear, however, is largely unfounded, since state boxing regulators do not, as a rule, require that inquire into the criminal history or background of their licensure applicants. The boxer represented in the middle of the chart is WBA cruiserweight champion Bobby Chez. Chez has had a long career, with his most profitable fights taking place in the last few years. In 1981, Chez's father sold the right to Chez's future boxing earnings to Andrew Licari and Andrew Dombrowski. Under the agreement, Licari and Dombrowski were to receive a percentage of Chez's future earnings in exchange for $300,000. Initially, Licari and Dombrowski were to receive 26% of Chez's earnings for 5 years, and then 5% for an additional 5 years. The agreement has, however, been modified twice so that Licari and Dombrowski could continue to receive 26% of Chez's boxing earnings.
Wow.
Chez testified at the subcommittee's August hearing that he voluntarily extended the boxing agreement because Licari and Dombrowski had not gotten their investment back.
So the motherfucker was a slave and volunteered to be a slave. Wow.
The most recent agreement, which is oral, apparently remains in force today. Licari is classified by several law enforcement entities as a Lucchese soldier and has been alleged to be a part of what was the Acerturo crew of the Lucchese family. He is also identified as such in the previously mentioned affidavit of former Lucchese acting boss Alphonse D'Arco. Dombrowski is classified as a Lucchese associate. At a subcommittee deposition, Licari denied membership in or involvement with organized crime. Licari did, however, acknowledge personal contact with the alleged members of the Acerturo crew. Licari and Dombrowski are not licensed to participate in boxing. State boxing regulations generally do not require that passive investors, such as Licari and Dombrowski, be licensed to participate in boxing, or that investments such as the one held by Licari and Dombrowski be recorded or disclosed. The boxer on the far left of
that right there is the fucking loophole. Nobody had the shit that they're earning like that is not recorded. And if this is in front of these fucking federal fucks, why aren't you fucking doing anything about it? Why aren't you regulating it like you're regulating our fucking pockets? Late night boxing talk.
The chart is James Buddy McGirt. McGirt has had 2 world titles and recently paid a purse of $1 million in his unsuccessful defense of his WBC title. McGirt's relationship with organized crime exists on 2 levels. The first level is McGirt's management team of Al Certo and Stuart Weiner. Law enforcement has long considered Certo an associate of the Genovese and Gambino crime families.
I just wanted to clarify for my own purposes, when you put a chart up there like that, you're not suggesting that any of the fighters involved know that they are involved in any way with organized crime?
That's right, Senator.
And
we don't take a position on that whatsoever because we have no evidence.
And with respect to the second line of individuals, are you making allegations about any of the individuals involved there, that they are actively involved?
Yes, Senator. We have information from law enforcement, at least 2 cooperating law enforcement agencies, as we require under our internal rules, that they do in fact have organized crime connections.
I thought I would run and vote if you stay, and then we could keep it going.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
McGirt's relationship with organized crime exists on 2 levels. The first level is McGirt's management team of Al Certo and Stuart Weiner. Law enforcement has long considered Certo an associate of the Genovese and Gambino crime families. Weiner is an associate of the Gambino family and has been recently named in an indictment handed down by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office as a member of the Jojo Corazzo crew of the Gambino family. Serto and Wiener each receive at least 33 1/3% manager's cut of McGirt's boxing earnings.
Whoa.
Serto and Wiener share various management.
Whoa. I thought Bobby Chaz was getting Mark. You thought Bobby Chaz was getting fucked 6 ways from Sunday. My brother, my bro. 33.3%. Peace to Mala. What's going on? Bro, 33.3% of Buddy McGirt's fucking what in the highest dildoing fuck is going on, son? I'll tell you what's going on. It's corruption. And it's still going. Like I said, Buddy McGirt, no disrespect to him, but it's the situation we're talking about. Wasn't he connected with Kovalev? Let's continue. Just saying.
Responsibilities, yet only Serto is licensed as a manager at this time. Wiener has not been licensed to participate in boxing since 1991, when he was licensed as a second in Nevada. Although Wiener has avoided licensure, his relationship with McGirt is not secret. Both McGirt and Serto at subcommittee depositions acknowledge that Wiener serves as a co-manager to McGirt. In addition, Wiener has also received payments due McGirt directly from McGirt's promoter, Madison Square Garden. Wiener has also has check writing authority on the account of Alfred Certissimo Inc., the company that receives all of McGirt's boxing earnings. Wiener is clearly acting as an unlicensed co-manager in violation of several different state regulations. The second level of McGirt's involvement with organized crime is the secret ownership by Gambino soldier Joseph Jojo Corazzo of some percentage of McGirt's earnings. Corazzo's ownership of McGirt was first revealed to the subcommittee by Salvatore Gravano, who just testified about the relationship. Subcommittee depositions of Serto and McGirt revealed that Wiener is a personal friend of Corazzo and that both Serto and McGirt were introduced to Corazzo by Wiener. Serto and McGirt both testified under oath that to their knowledge, Corazzo does not have an ownership interest in McGirt's boxing earnings. Jojo Corazzo invoked the Fifth Amendment in response to all questions during his subcommittee deposition. Subcommittee staff, with the assistance of the Governmental Accounting Office, conducted a comprehensive analysis of the financial records of Alfred Certissimo Inc., the company controlled by Serto and Wiener that holds all of McGirt's earnings. Although we found no direct evidence of payments being made to Corazzo, we did find a pattern of very questionable payment practices. The exhibit on my right represents the flow of funds from McGirt's November 29, 1991 fight against Simon Brown. This exhibit illustrates how all money due McGirt goes directly to Alfred Certissimo Inc. In this case, McGirt's promoter, Madison Square Garden, wrote checks directly to Alfred Certissimo Inc. for McGirt's purse earnings and training expenses. We also have evidence that Madison Square Garden paid Wiener $40,000 of the money owed McGirt in cash, but have been not able to determine if this money has been deposited or how it's been spent. And I'd like to point out that we list a check number there because we initially thought that it was paid by check because we got a check showing the $40,000 payment. We have since discovered that the check was voided and it was never negotiated and the transaction was actually conducted in cash. Although Nevada has a regulation requiring that a boxer be paid directly, McGirt requested that the Nevada Commission waive this regulation so that Alfred Certissimo Inc. would be paid directly. Since such regulations are intended to lessen the likelihood that a boxer will be cheated by his management, this arrangement is questionable and circumvents the intent of state regulations. One questionable pattern in practice involves the so-called third-party endorser transactions. The exhibit that we're now putting up illustrates this practice. As the exhibit indicates, Stuart Wiener wrote a check for $3,000 to himself, and I'm referring to the top check. Then, as the back of the check indicates, which is right under it, he endorsed the check with his name and then wrote the third-party endorsement of Alfred Certissimo Inc. Although it looks like the check was redeposited into Alfred Certissimo Inc.'s account, the corresponding bank statement does not list a specific $3,000 deposit. Serto testified at his deposition that such checks are, on occasion, converted into cash. Our analysis of Alfred Certissimo Inc.'s checks, bank statements, and tax records indicate that practically all third-party endorser checks are apparently converted into cash.
So now you know why they're walking around with all them fucking bank rolls and shit like that, because the cash is right there. None of that check shit. Could show you a check. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one that they doing that shit with. I'm telling you, man. Late night boxing talk.
For 10% of all checks written on the Alfred Certissimo Inc. account for a 3-year period were handled in this manner. A second questionable pattern involves the practice of writing 2 separate checks to the same payee on the same day. This practice is illustrated by the same exhibit that we have up now. As you can see, Stuart Weiner wrote 2 checks to himself on March 31, 1990. Check number 1289, which is on the top, is for $3,000. Check 1291 on the bottom is for $2,170. The $3,000 check was third-party endorsed, leading us to suspect it was converted into cash, and the $2,170 check appears to have been deposited in another account. On 8 separate occasions, Stuart Weiner wrote himself 2 separate checks for significant amounts of money on the same day. On one day, Weiner wrote 3 separate checks to himself. While this evidence is not conclusive proof of wrongdoing, it clearly provides a ready method for siphoning off large sums of money in the form of cash. In conclusion,
How does writing the second one siphon off large amount of money? In that case, if he writes a check out to himself and cashes it, and there's a bank's record of it, how is that siphoning off money?
well, Senator, on the bottom, we are assuming that he might have deposited that into an account, although if it's his bank, he could have cashed it. We have no idea. I'm saying the top check, which is a third-party endorser check, was likely converted into cash because in our analysis of all the deposits made into Alfred Certissimo Inc. up against their income reflected on their tax records minus loans shows that these checks could not have been redeposited or they wouldn't have balanced. And GAO helped us come to the conclusion of that analysis.
But that wouldn't apply to the second check, though.
We have no idea because we did not subpoena Mr. Weiner's bank records. We have no idea if that is the case. In conclusion, we have no reason to believe that under the present regulatory structure, anything will change. The current regulatory structure has had over 30 years to rid boxing of organized crime influence and involvement, and it has not done so. We agree with the view of former organized crime member Michael Francis and former FBI agent Joseph Spinelli that the most effective way to rid boxing of organized crime is federal oversight of the industry. And Senator, at this...
Thank you. Like I stated, you were going to feel vindicated. You were going to say, I fucking knew it. This is the way you're supposed to clean up boxing. I fucking knew it. The WBC was corrupt. I brought it to you. I am happy I've done this for you fucking guys. This is coming to a closing, not the show, once again. But like I said, bro, this is the fucking truth. Late night boxing talk, baby. It's been running very strong, and I brought it back. You know what I'm saying? It's fucking crazy, guys. It's crazy. You journalists out there, so-called journalists out there, better get out your fucking game, son. This right here put me like fucking 15 years ahead of your fucking whole fucking YouTube fucking program, son. And only those that like I said earlier, roll with me and do what they do. You know what I'm saying? Those are the only ones. You can't catch up to us because we're on our game and we're doing your fucking job, son. Late night boxing talk. That's right. Let's finish this up.
At this time, I would like to have a list of 40 sealed and some unsealed, mostly unsealed exhibits that I'd request be admitted to the record at this time.
That objection will be admitted to the record.
Thank you, and we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Well, the first question I would ask you is, in spite of the testimony we had last fall that the best way to rid organized crime of involvement in boxing is to have strong federal oversight. We just had someone who was actively involved in organized crime and the boxing profession. He indicated it would make very little difference as long as the money is there.
Well, Senator,
do you have any response to that?
I think from the people we have talked to in our personal view of staff, I would have to disagree. The federal government did a very good job of capturing Mr. Gravano. So I think the federal government has done a good job at prosecuting and investigating organized crime. And I think they would do so if it was under a federal boxing oversight.
Okay, perhaps you can tell us a bit more about the function of state licensing boards and their relationship to boxing participants and advisors, licensed advisors and unlicensed advisors.
Well, as far as unlicensed advisors go, there is no relationship between them and the state regulatory. They totally circuit the licensing process. They are not licensed. They don't put in applications for license. And as far as we can tell, the boxing commissions don't go after them, don't try to force them to be licensed, or don't try to exclude them from boxing if they are in fact participating in the sport.
Well, do they perform any functions that would otherwise bring them within the scope of state regulation?
Yes, Senator. In many cases, they do. I think the examples in our chart, Lenny Minuto is one. If he, in fact, receives 10% of Iran Barkley's boxing earnings, then he is a manager under the New Jersey definition of a manager. Anyone who receives 10% or more of a boxer's earnings. And he would therefore have to be licensed as a manager in that state. Other states have very broad definitions of a manager. Anyone who helps direct the career of the boxer. He certainly, according to the deposition of Mr. Barkley, is helping to direct his career. It would have to be licensed as a manager in that capacity also.
Should we have a uniform definition of what constitutes an advisor?
Yes, Senator, or what constitutes a manager, so it would encompass all of these advisors.
And Mr. Levin, I think the staff statement indicates there's evidence that Mr. Lenny Minuto may have received as much as $225,000 in connection with Mr. Barkley's last fight. Can you explain the evidence and how you arrived at that figure?
Certainly, Senator. The fight we're referring to was the Iran Barkley James Toney IBF super middleweight championship fight. In his deposition, Iran Barkley said that he was going to pay Mr. Minuto $100,000 from that fight. In addition, Bob Arum, who was the promoter of that fight, has told us that in order to get Barkley to agree to that fight, he had to agree to a side deal where Arum would pay Minuto $125,000, thus bringing Minuto's total take from that fight to $225,000.
Is there any evidence that Mr. Barkley himself knew about this?
We have no evidence that Mr. Barkley knew about the. Well, let me backtrack. The deposition of Mr. Barkley was taken prior to the fight. So talking about the $100,000, he was saying that prospectively that that's what he was going to pay. With regard to the side deal between Mr. Minuto and Mr. Arum, yes, Mr. Arum said that Mr. Barkley was involved with the negotiations and therefore presumably was aware of that side deal also.
Okay. Are there any background checks that are currently undertaken for those who apply for licensing to participate in boxing?
Yeah, Senator. No. If you submit an application to be licensed, you have to fill out a form. It asks certain questions, but to our knowledge, no one checks the answers. No one checks to see if the individual has a criminal record or has any organized crime involvement. So,
well, who should be in the business of checking background? Are you suggesting that commissions do that work?
Probably not. I think law enforcement would probably be the best person to do that. Much in the way the Senate does background checks of people who are being appointed to positions. They could simply call the local law enforcement or the federal law enforcement and ask if the individual has a criminal record or known association, something like that.
And the primary reason that the current state-based regulatory systems are not effective is what?
Well, I think one of the primary reasons, I mean, a lot of the states have very good regulations on the books. The problem is they just don't enforce those regulations. The unlicensed advisor example is a good one because a lot of states have regulations requiring these people be licensed. They just don't enforce those regulations. The second problem is inconsistency, as you just mentioned. There's a definition for a manager in every different state. So you may be a manager under one state, but not under the next. And it's very confusing.
Okay. Could you explain in a little more detail what methodology you use to analyze the financial practices?
How is it confusing when you have all of these rules and all of these fucking applications and you're signing out all these applications and then you're going by your fucking rules and you're dictating them, but it's fucking confusing when all of a sudden it switches to another state. It's not confusing. What's confusing is the motherfuckers come with a big influence, like fucking Sammy the Bull said. This is why this is epic. This is an epic testimony. This is testimony that had come from a dude that was in there. This is why this dude blew the lid open. We're all adults here. If you want to call him a rat, call him a rat. If you want to think, I personally am not with the mob. I was not in that shit, so I'm not gonna go biasly head first and say to myself, you know what? He's a fucking rat. He's a fucking snitch because blah, 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 and Costa Nostra. Let me tell you something. If I was down, now, if you want my perspective, if I was down with that shit and I just whacked 19 niggas, doesn't make me righteous. Is that, I'm not saying Sammy the Bull's righteous for doing this shit. No, 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 no. Whatever the fuck he did, whatever. I'm just saying, if it was me, first of all, I see his reason. If someone you help put into that position, all of a sudden, and turns around because the heat's on him, turns around and tells you, look, the streets need me, you're going to be the sacrificial lamb. And then he tells you, we're going to make you sound like you was out of control, you wouldn't listen to us, right? And he even asked him, are you sure this is what you want me to do, John? You sure? He was like, yeah, the streets need me. Some fucked up shit. So in order for him to survive, because he 19 murders, bro, he had to fucking actually say, yeah, I'm out of control and act okay, and whatever the fuck he had to do in order to make him look spiffy clean. Get the fuck out of here, bro. I put you in that position. Number one. Number two, this is not what the fuck I signed up for. You talking all this Costa Nostra shit, but then you about to turn me, you telling me to snitch on me. Like I can, as a grown man now, I can understand that position. That's why I can't call him a rat, and I can't agree with what he said, but I can understand that state of mind at that moment. So the reason why he talked about the whole boxing shit here, that's been under a lot of fucking journalists' noses and guys that are fucking sucking cock and mammary glands and fucking out there thinking that it's all about fucking getting the latest scoop on the fighters, which don't really fucking mean shit because they're not doing a fucking goddamn thing. Late Night Boxing Talk. They're not doing a goddamn thing. Are you fucking crazy, son? Are you crazy? This shit's been under your nose, and not one of you motherfuckers, and like I said, people that roll me, people that know, you know, the uploaders, you already know. I'm not talking about y'all. Y'all know you're strong with me. So you're on this side. You motherfuckers trying to tell me that fights can't be fixed, can't be bought. I just gave you the testimony right now. Pass this shit right now. Yo, whenever you're in a fucking debate, pass this live on. This shit will always be on my channel. Lead them to this fucking, lead them here. Lead them here and tell them, bro, facts, testimony, right here. Watch this fucking live. Straight up and down. And this is going to be some future message shit. They're going to bug out what they see. And for you guys that just fucking joined this live because you were sent here, my motherfuckers that watch this and had to put you to bring you here, we fucking told you so. We told you so. It can't be bought. Think about it. Think about it. Honestly, ask yourself: would you stumble and wobble and weeble and get punched in your fucking face for $12.5 million in a fight? There has been testimony that a lot of motherfuckers went to because they fighters because they were broke, they had nothing. Are you fucking kidding me? Meanwhile, in the real world, we see the actions of these fighters. We know how they fight. We know the pressure they could put on them, especially if they're bigger. And you mean to tell me motherfucking Chihuahua, and no fucking racial pun intended, but fucking Chihuahua goes up against Great Dane, and what happens? Are you fucking kidding me? Mighty Mouse beat up Superman? The Russian Superman version? Of course, the Red Superman, Red Dawn, if you read that comic. Are you kidding me? Fights can't be bought. Fights can't be fixed. But Golden Boy has been doing this shit for the longest, bro. And other motherfuckers too. And the WBC is fucking well. Piece of Big Boys Boxing, who keeps it real as well, exposing the WBC. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. I'm tired of this shit. Fucking making fucking trinkets, make believe fucking straps. Are you fucking kidding me? And you mean to I just gave you testimony, bro. Let's. Oh my god, man. Holler if you hear me.
Alfred,
And that brings that to a close. All right. Now, if y'all want to catch that, go to Hezekiah News and it'll be there. It's been under our noses all this time. It's been under our noses all this time. Under our noses all this damn time. And not one of you motherfuckers got on this. Not one of you guys. Why? Because you thought that if you brought it to a live like I did and break it down and let people that and fight fans, honest fight fans, that fucking probably put in overtime at their fucking jobs so that they can keep up with their fucking apps and shit like that in order to fucking watch this fucking Barbie doll dress boxing. Bro, you're kidding me. Right? You're kidding me. The Hadron Collider went off 2012 and we're in a fucking time zone. We're in a fucking new world where everything is fucking distorted. You fucking kidding me? Honestly. Fucking honestly. You know what I mean? Guys like Mark has mentioned right there are too busy fucking trying to get the today interview. What's going on with today? It doesn't matter because today's boxers ain't fighting like yesterday's boxers, and the ones that were that didn't fuck with them, the ones that weren't corrupt, the ones that just fucking decided, you know what, I gotta fight. Honestly, I gotta do what the fuck I gotta do. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna fuck with these guys. The guys that we know that will put up in there that actually won fucking straps. They didn't just take fucking straps. And piece of Deontay Wilder for saying no to the fucking strap or whatever, not taking that fucking trinket shit. Peace to you as well. Peace to any fighter that's not gonna take any fucking strap easily like that and say, yeah, I'm a franchise champion. Once again, WBC, World Boxing Commission, a commission. How the fuck are you a franchise? Can you please explain? I went through this. I'm going to go through it again. Franchise. Commission. Big difference. Am I wrong? Big difference. Boxing is not a franchise. Boxing is not like the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL. It's nothing like that. You know why? You know why? Because you have a lot of owners and different teams. You feel what I'm saying? And they're all under boxing cannot be. They don't want to do that. They're able to do that. They just don't want to do that. So boxing will never be a sport where and even though a lot of, and I understand, Karan, what you're saying, my brother, you know, that you wouldn't like a lot of the feds and shit like that, the government, with the boxing, but governing boxing, but it needs to be. Also because of safety issues as well. See, sometimes the shit we don't like and we don't want, when we look at the second side of it and the perspective, sometimes we got to do it. It's like what's bad for us is usually good for us. At certain, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes we got, like, I can understand we don't want that. Unrivaled, what's going on, my brother? No doubt. Welcome, my brother. Welcome. You don't it gets to a point where you can see the fuckery. And those that are in denial, because and we got to forgive them because they don't know no better. But at the same time, I can understand the fury you want to unleash on motherfuckers like I do as well. I'm not talking shit either. You know, I'm not contradicting myself. I'm talking for everybody, even myself, that are in this, you know, and that actually do that, tear motherfuckers down. We got to forgive them as well because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So they're going to keep kicking and screaming and fighting and trying to fight the powers that be to show them the inevitable that, yo, you don't know what you're talking about. And yes, fights can be fucking bought, bro. You know what I'm saying? My man Ted Player says they don't know, Jay. We was actually shocked how little boxing uploaders knew. Have not the slightest clue what they're looking at, nor how the game works. It's like they're mental toddlers. Yo, 10, Big 10, no doubt. No doubt. Those are pure facts, bro, in your words, man. Straight up. And I don't even think it's the case that they don't know what they're doing. It's that I see we Big 10, you're gonna feel me on this. And everybody else on here as well. We're adults, we're real men. We know what the fuck is up, right? So when we look at different perspectives, you know, we know what it is. When we sit down and things take hours in order to absorb the knowledge of knowing what the fuck it is, which is the truth. Sometimes it takes a long time. These guys don't have what we have. And it's not only testicular fortitude, they just don't have the intellect. They don't have the absorption of wanting to gain knowledge like we have. Because they follow trend. So they know that that's not going to get likes by other lazy motherfuckers who don't want to, who don't like this informative shit like this, to sit down and actually either smoke a blunt. You could be fucking fingering your girl or whatever the fuck you're doing in order to watch this comfortably, getting head on the couch, watching this oh shit, late night boxing talk. It don't matter, but you're being informed, you're being full of information, no matter how long it takes, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4. But at the end of it all, you know what the fuck you're talking about. Henceforth, 10 players, we know what we're doing. These guys don't do that, and they know what it is, but they rather stick to the fad, to the trend, to the likes, to the and with the other younger generation. This is why the responsibility we have, we're doing it responsibly. We're trying to unplug motherfuckers. We're trying to unplug motherfuckers from the matrix. As a matter of fact, what if I told you that boxing was corrupt and fixed? And what you've seen, some, possibly 65% of boxing has been controlled. What if I told you it's all a game? We're trying to unplug motherfuckers. We're not trying to have people, oh, what the hell is going on? Piece of PEDs, no doubt what's going on. Orca Mustang, no doubt what's going on. My man Jean, Le Juan, no doubt. Right on Rival Boxing joined us. You know what I mean? Like, come on, guys, man. You know, like I said, and I agree with you, Big Ten. But they just don't want to do it. They just rather stick to the, like I said, and we're sticking to the real. So when people are lost, like the Flomos and the Pactars, remember, because we come from that too. You know, we got shit. We went through that war too with motherfuckers, right? And when they walk through the flames, at the end of it, they're lost. They don't know where to go. They don't know where to get the boxing. They don't know where to get the truth. They don't know. So what do? They wind up with us. They run into us. And all of a sudden, they transition from a fucking whatever the fuck Mo-ism or whatever the fuck they were into boxing fans. And this is what we fucking do here. And you can tell because if you're either debating or motherfuckers are leaving a comment in your fucking comment section, or you can tell the transition because they say what you say, what you're verbatim. Whether they're laughing at it, but they still said it, what you're saying. They're trying to argue it, you got their attention. You got them thinking. Then all of a sudden, they're trying to correct you, but they wind up getting corrected. Or because they took the time out to try to correct what you're saying, which are fucking facts. See how that works? So these guys are lazy and we're productive. whether we don't have this fancy shit to show all these graphics and stuff like that, whether we don't have fucking super chats and I'm not knocking the game. I'm just saying, to for those that be trying to talk shit about us that do this shit out of love. It's evident that, if you was to compare my shit to the bigger channels or our shit to the bigger channels in, like, let's just say houses, our shit would be a shack. This would be us. This would be our boxing channels. A shack, right? All fucking torn, but has gone through everything and was safer than the newest shit that they build, which are the nice houses that get ripped off through hurricanes. They haven't lasted through all the hurricanes that this motherfucking shaft went through, right? This little shack went through, right? Right? It's still standing, regardless. It's got half a roof or whatever, but you still got shelter. You still can, right? Been through 4, 5, 6 of them. What I'm saying here is boxing channels that are small, that are shacky, like, have more fucking knowledge and put in more fucking work and will wipe their fucking gooch with these fucking other fucking uninformative, make-believe fucking channels that are just and reporters as well. I'm not knocking your game. I'm not knocking, but when you come out here and you don't do shit like this, you guys are fucking irrelevant to motherfuckers who are real to the fucking game. It's sickening that you guys are actually out here with fucking signs saying, "Yay, paper champions." What are you doing? So now, this is the go-to video, this live here, for whenever motherfuckers are saying you can't fix a fight or anything like that that's going against anything that you're saying. You tell them, "Hey, man, get the fuck up." Go to Jay Cotto's exposing the fucking WBC corruption in boxing. Go, just send them here. What they're gonna do? Argue with Sammy the Bull? Oh, he killed 19 people, bro. This dude was John Gotti's right hand. He was the capo of the game. Dude, you're gonna argue with that dude? You're gonna argue with the federal government's questioning and testimony to really? Because you feel like, because you think that what these fighters are saying, when a fighter says no, it's no, bro, are you fucking nuts? Doesn't work like how you're imagining. Stop bugging the fuck out, bro. I'm one of the realest motherfuckers here on YouTube with this fucking boxing shit. I don't care how many blunts you smoke in front of the camera. I don't care if you're in your fucking car, in your SUV, and you banging out. And no, it's shit like this that matters. It's shit like 10 Players puts out. It's shit like fucking my man Raphael Dawkins, Combat Radio puts out. It's shit like my man motherfucking Unrivaled puts out. Tommy Temple with his little montages and his projects and stuff like that. Boxing projects and stuff. It's guys that put in for fucking boxing, son. Whether it's a fucking boxing video, whether it's a fucking boxing story, a piece of art of boxing, selling boxing shirts, you know what I'm saying? But doing something to keep the legends and the fucking creativity of boxing, which is being original and not fucking trying to fucking nitpick and take off. Look, bottom line, if you guys are gonna produce gentrification, then produce it already, you lazy motherfuckers. If you guys are going to say out with the old, in with the new, then stop taking from the fucking old in order to fucking build from the new, right? Unless you're going to fucking give credit and thanks and praise to the old, because without the old, you couldn't build foundation in the first fucking place. Come on, bro. Don't make me your psychiatrist every fucking week now. Don't be lazy with your fucking selves. Educate yourselves within the sport of fucking boxing, bro. I'm still learning myself. I've been watching, like I said, since '84, and I'm proud to say that. I wear that shit like a badge, bro. I'm proud of myself for watching boxing and still watching and still trying to hold on with your life. I'm on a finger, bro. I'm on a fucking, bro. Come on, man. You guys got to understand, man. Yes, times are changing, and yes, things do evolve. But should they evolve in this way where you can put a stop to shit that is mostly fabricated from hate and pride? Whatever happened to those fucking days that you can stop an asshole like that and tell him, bro, you're being too fucking prideful. Calm the fuck down. And think before you fucking speak. Whatever happened to that? What's going on with the boxing knowledge? No doubt, brother. People got to understand, man. The sport of boxing is exactly what the fuck it is, bro. It's a sport that was made by men who were gladiators and then controlled by those who had power and greed, and then enslaved masses of the fisticuff game, man. And it kept them at a level where they had to slave themselves out, and basically the corrupt didn't give them ways out. Some of them knew, some of them didn't. It's all on here. It's all on here. And peace to channels like Hezekiah News. Once again, I'm gonna leave the link right here. So after the live, you guys can go check them out for giving us this these little recordings and documentaries and stuff like that, where motherfuckers like myself and other channels that I have mentioned before, we're able to do these things where we could. This is like a first live documentary I did for you guys. That's another thing about me, not to my own horn, but I'm just letting you know about this channel. I fight for this channel because this channel is for the real guys, for the real ones like you guys. So I'm just basically what I'm saying out here when I point shit out like this is because I'm showing you its worth and its resume. And I'm an innovator, man. I like innovating. I like bringing shit to the sport of boxing as to the entertainment value and the whole communications level. Go check out Brosco on his 4-5. Go on my playlist. Go check out I even did comedy with boxing with talking with Tyson. Go check it out. You know what I'm saying? Boxing videos with hip hop and shit like that. And I'm not unbiased. I used to follow. I used to report on motherfuckers unbiasedly, and I still do it. But I'm just a real boxing fan, bro. So I put that shit aside, and I'm just speaking as a fan who has a fucking channel. If you see me more than that, thank you. God bless you. You know what I mean? Me, I'm just a fan who has a channel, who has a very strong perspective, and I'm using this platform to keep the sport of boxing clean and with the truth and how it's supposed to go. Motherfuckers want to impress me? Give a fight like fucking Ino and Donaire did. Give us something like that. Not once in a while, every fucking fight. Because now little guys have set the standard, so you guys are gonna have to fucking work harder. I'm so happy that fight went down. Late night boxing talk. I'm so happy that fight went down. The motherfuckers can't tell me. Motherfuckers can't tell me they didn't enjoy not one fucking round of that. We need more. We need more. Go check out. There goes the link to Hezekiah News. After the live, if you want to check out that and more fucking mob documentaries like that, testimonies and shit. This shit is real. Mark says, I feel you when you have these verbal wars with these idiots on various boxing groups and channels. I do the same. However, it's like you said, they're uninformed and naive. Exactly. And if it's not even mostly that they're uninformed, because some of them are informed because they're quick to throw it in your face, their knowledge, and you're like, damn, like this is what I always tell them, damn, you could put that knowledge into so much use, bro. But instead you want to come out here and smear that knowledge with lies and twist it. If you know Ali's a GOAT, how the fuck are you gonna go out there and say that Deontay Wilder's a GOAT? I don't give a fuck if you love Deontay Wilder. I don't care if your whole dream is to hold his title and swing off a fucking pube, off his testicle. I don't give a fuck, son. I don't care if you want his autograph on a boxing glove. I don't care if you wish they made fucking Deontay Bronze Bomber cereal, nigga. I don't care if you want a fucking Bronze Bomber fucking tattoo. I don't give a fuck, son. I don't give a fuck like a virgin on any given day, son. I don't give a fuck, son. I don't care. That shit don't matter to me. What matters to me is who you fought. You're fucking, and I don't want to hear none of that shit about, oh, it's the errors, and I don't give a fuck. Because a lot of these motherfuckers done ducked like midgets and turnstiles, bro. Motherfuckers done ducked a lot of motherfuckers that they're supposed to fight in their errors. And other motherfuckers fought motherfuckers in their errors. And what happened? All of a sudden, you smearing and kicking and screaming and trying to smear the work that this man did and fought her, and his resume is looking better than yours, younger but better because it's fought harder. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Ronnie Lyle's fucking a dude that never won, and just like Ernie Shavers, never won a fucking title. Their resumes look way fucking better than yours. It got nothing to do with fucking errors. It has to do with the fucking fight quality and who the fuck is fighting in your era that's a fucking threat. There were a couple here that were a fucking threat, and they still haven't been fought yet. It's fucking retarded. Want to hear that shit? I don't want to hear that shit. This is why I say comfortably. Let's take it down to 147. I say comfortably. Manny Pacquiao can beat anybody at 147 with the exception of Terence Crawford. Yes. Yes. Even Mikey Garcia, I hear he wants it. Him too. Danny Garcia, him too. He's a grandmaster. I keep saying this. You can't fight that. I'm right when it comes to shit like that because these boys don't fight like, man. I'm telling you, bro, you have to fight each other multiple times in order to be great, or fight fucking competitors that are fucking contenders of fucking death. Battle of attrition. Must. Some of them are going through it. Inu did yesterday. It's going to make him better. But these motherfuckers, some of these know. They rather take fucking titles. Lomachenko, what the fuck have you done? Bro, refund that title, dog. Give that title back. Hashtag Loma, give the title back. Bro, I can't see you with that. No, bro. I can understand a Devin Haney taking nothing away from him because he's young. This is his era. And if they're gonna do that now, then I would expect a fighter like that to do it. Because that's what, and as an old school fucking fight fan, for this era, that's what I've grown up to know these guys for. So this is them then. So let them have their fucking, their fucking Disney titles. I think Disney got something to do with that shit too. You know what I'm saying? Let them have their Disney. This is that. But fighters like fucking Loma, bro, are you fucking? You came from era before that. No, bro. Fuck you doing? So let me show you guys exactly how this is the most contradicting era ever. Right? Titles didn't matter. Straps don't matter. I don't want a strap. Straps don't matter. I don't need a title. Titles don't make me. Remember that shit? Remember that shit. And I said it. All for the agenda because they couldn't fucking gain those titles like this. So they did it politically. They did it with this shit. And now all of a sudden, titles matter? So they're making them, they're producing them, they're fabricating fucking. Are you kidding me? Corruption in boxing by the WBC, bro. What the fuck is. Right now, everybody should be typing down the song I'm about to sing. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. You motherfuckers should be seeing clearly now after this live, kid. Brush my hair, Pops. Brush my hair, Pops. You guys should be seeing very clearly now, bro. very fucking clearly now. You know what I mean? And for the rest of you motherfuckers that were on my other videos when it came to the Pac-Man and Thurman shit and you were doubting me, I wiped my ass with you guys, bro. Anytime, any day. Anytime, any day. Jay-Wick got those black gloves. Ask my fellow friends, followers, you know what I'm saying, brothers, bro. You know that come in all different departments. Not naming everybody in that category, and if you're in every one of those categories, congratulations, you guys are amazing. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, it's like they've seen me. Not to my own horn, but when it comes to shit like this, there's a lot of like I said, man, and it's not only me. There's a lot of motherfuckers out there that'll wipe their gooch with you. So why don't I have an idea for you fucking casuals, rude casuals that is, because there are some good casuals. There are some very good casuals, bro. You know what I mean? And I don't mean to shit on the name itself. There are some very good casuals that are very respectful, that absorb the knowledge. I love to give leadways to casuals that want to learn and that are learning, because I learn from certain casuals too, where they've recorded something from another historian, and I actually, holy shit, I just got some from, it's happened. I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm a real fight fan. I'm a real fight fan. A real fight fan is always going to get new information coming from another fight fan. And if you're a casual who just happened to learn boxing, but you have become a fight fan and you've recorded something from an historian, that means that you've gotten information that probably a fight fan like myself was looking for or possibly never ran into, and you shared the information, bro. Like being a boxing fan is, and I'm talking about an authentic boxing. I'm not only talking about collecting memorabilia, always going to their shows. I'm not only talking about that. I'm talking about correcting someone when they get a certain thing or fucking history or anything, and not in a fucking a vulgar or no, not in that way. In a nice, comfortable atmosphere. A nice conversation. Share the knowledge. That's the problem here with these debates, and that's the problem with a lot of relationships that have been lost, because a lot of motherfuckers think that they got to put an S on their chest for the shit that they're about to prove. What the fuck? We're just going to have a sit down and talk about what the fuck you didn't say and I didn't say correctly. What the fuck is wrong with you? What, are we going to fucking argue and call each other for other fucking names? Notice how the name calls. If you guys know who I am and you see me on other people's lives, and the reason why I challenged motherfuckers to debates in my channel and went crazy and fucking cheese graded these motherfuckers, the reason why is because if you've noticed, they always got to come up with a fucking calling someone out their fucking name or doing something out of the fucking ordinary, which is the ordinary of the situation. It's fucking ridiculous. So what do you got to do now? You got to put on your black gloves and you've got to slay this motherfucker now. It's ridiculous. I have just fucking upped another level with this shit out here right now, with this fucking live. After we get off, rewind this. Very informative. This right here is your fucking adamantium shield, claw, whatever the fuck it is, whatever superhero you think the fuck you are, because we all think we're fucking heroes. I'm telling you right now, this live right now will fucking rebut and close and give you a fucking W in any fucking debate said by Jay Wick himself, bro. Jay Solo, Jay fucking Windu, Baba Yaga, Jay fucking Kato, the junkyard dog. This right here is your fucking, this right here will fucking tell you that you're a fucking winner in any debate when it comes to shit like this. Boxing isn't fucking corrupt, but you can't set up fights. There's no such. Go check out Jay Cotto's fucking live with the Sammy the Bull. Testimony in front of the federal fucking government. Expose Jose Solomon. Expose the WBC. The surroundings. The workings. Names in boxing. Boxers, managers, promoters. Big names. Boxers that have affiliation with fucking. How come you guys ain't do this? You really want to boycott? This channel was all about this before you guys even thought about this shit. Hashtag come back to boxing. That's what it was all about. That's what this self-explanatory. I told motherfuckers in debates, use that fucking hashtag. Just hashtag come back to boxing, motherfucker, because you're not talking boxing. You're not seeing boxing. You're not watching boxing. Come back to boxing. But nobody want to use it. I ain't gonna sue you. What, you feel like you ain't got no power? Then don't fucking use it then. Don't fucking use it. Real motherfuckers use hashtag come back to boxing. They know exactly what the fuck it is. Hashtag, and the two is you and the sport. You know what I'm saying? And when you tell that motherfucker you need to come back to the sport, you tell him, okay, you need to come back to boxing. It's self-explanatory. This is your show. This show has been on. It's called Late Night Boxing Talk. And it's been through its phases in order to become what the fuck it's become today. I retired it, and it came back out of retirement. This is its round 2. It's got its second fucking wind. You know what I mean? And I'll try to keep it on for as long as I can fucking tolerate the sport of boxing. The fury and the wrath that was building within me, I had to bring this out. This Late Night Boxing Talk for me should be this way for you guys. And I'm not trying to change the way you feel about it, because it's probably it most likely grew on you different ways. But the way I do it, it's like Bruce Wayne with his suit. It's like, you know what I mean? You know, this right here is a platform where it allows me to fucking, because this is the platform that started it all, allowing me to fucking talk freely about boxing and how I felt about it. And now it's gone in depth. And like I said, man, I'm miles away ahead of motherfuckers. I don't care how knowledgeable you are, the work and everything that I have said has been the truth. I'm telling you right now, like I said, I'm the first motherfucker who bought you a live documentary, regardless of technical difficulties I had, because I put my faith in this fucking, and this is what I mean, what I was saying about these. I put my faith into this fucking technology shit, and instead I did it like a fucking Neanderthal, and I still got it through to you guys. And I thank you for swinging by. I thank you for supporting, and there were a lot of views tonight. God bless each and every one of y'all. This is great. You know what I mean? It shows that you care for this. It shows that this is your show. You like this show. It shows that that Late Night Boxing Talk has grown on y'all, and a lot of Late Night Boxing Talk has created a lot of uploaders. A lot of uploaders already have given testimony. And you know what? I'm not saying that to talk my own horn, but I'm proud of that. If you are one of the uploaders that have created a channel because of my influence, because listen, God bless you. Keep going. I will support you. I will show up in any lives you need. You know what I'm saying? That's beautiful. And there have been uploaders with that testimony. If you don't believe me. You know what I mean? I'm just, like I said, when I mention things like this, it's for the show's resume. It's also to show the newcomers that you come to a channel. I'm not gonna waste your time. You're gonna come here to hang out. We're gonna talk boxing. We're gonna fucking crack jokes. We're gonna smoke some weed. If you drink beer, you drink your beer. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna have fun like we used to. You know what I mean? And we're all going to understand that opinions. I'm not going to give you the corny line, but opinions are there for a reason. Opinion is the wick of a fire debate, man. You just got to know the debate is the fire. You just got to know how to handle it. And I'm talking about both debaters. You got to know how to handle it without it burning you without losing control, without getting crazy, without talking all motherfuckers, you know. You know, this show and this channel has been to war with uploaders. Haven't been touched, Ski. Haven't loaded, and there's testimony to that. There's a lot of hate is hate, but when it comes to collaborations, that's what we should be doing more of. You know what I mean? Fights that we've seen, and we know that the real action did not exist within. You were right. And you may not like it, but Sammy the Bull just proved you're right. The man didn't say this for no reason. He said it to save his life. He said it to get the fuck out of there because he had no choice. Either they kill him because he didn't turn himself in to take something that they supposedly said they take an oath for and be secretive about, and all, but they want him to turn himself in and snitch on himself. Crazy. I can understand why he did that. So he turned himself in, did whatever fucking years he had to do, came out and did whatever the fuck he did to fuck himself up, whatever. But with that, and he gave it all up. And that right there, my friends, brothers, sisters, is the fucking truth. Otherwise than that, I'm your boy, Jay Cotto, the Boxing Jedi, giving you another late night boxing talk. And I hope you've enjoyed it. And you can definitely count on more late night boxing talks coming up. The thing is, it's gonna take me a while. If you like the quality of today, it's gonna take me a while to build some more like this. So I can possibly say that late night boxing talk, you may get another one next Thursday as well. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise than that, man, God bless each and every one of y'all. God bless. Stay vigilant. Peace, guys. Thanks, man.